Hello everyone, my name is Maria Ortiz and I am the managing partner for Palladium in Europe, Middle East and Africa. Palladium is a global organization that operates in more than 90 countries. We help governments and private organizations to create greater socioeconomic impact in the societies where they operate. We have been working in the GCC for the last 4 decades, and since 2017, we have a permanent office in Kuwait that has been working with public and private organizations in the country. I would like to thank KFAS for inviting me to be part of the KFAS Emergency Resilience Program in response to COVID-19, aiming to help people better understand current and future effects of the pandemic. Today, my talk will focus on the midterm consequences of COVID-19 for Kuwait, an acceleration of underlying trends. Instead of focusing my talk in the short-term impact of COVID and the well-known disruptions in travel, trade, social life, and economy, I would like to discuss 4 trends that were here before COVID-19 crisis started and will be accelerated in the coming months, providing an opportunity for Kuwait to transform and achieve many of the objectives of its Vision 2035. As His Highness the Emir said in his most recent speech, the world of tomorrow will no longer be the same. The trends I will focus on are energy transition and price of oil, local versus global supply chains, the role of e-commerce, and SMEs versus super multinationals. The first one is the energy transition. A few weeks back, in the middle of the more restrictive measures in the US, for the first time in the last 100 years, having oil became a liability and not an endowment in the US. The negative price of the oil showed that having the black gold is not guarantee of wealth. Although this raised many headlines, reality is that it was an anecdote. And since then, the price of oil has been increasing steadily, fueled by strong demand. The impact of the negative prices of WTI will be a long-term consequence of this crisis. Supply will reduce, producers will have less incentive to increase capacity, and demand will continue to drive price of oil up. For those producers like Kuwait that have the ability to produce at an efficient ratio, that will be a blessing. However, now we know that if countries do not produce efficiently and do not have long-term demand contracts and or ways to store supply at scale, it will come a moment where oil will become a liability. However, in the meantime, it's an endowment that more than ever needs to be used wisely and not depleted in activities with low value added. We will come back later to discuss what could that mean for Kuwait. The second big trend is the acceleration of local value chain versus long-distance value chains. Previous to the COVID-19 crisis, the fourth industrial revolution was already transforming value chains to make industries to be closer to clients. The combination of artificial intelligence, robotics, and 3D printing allowed industrial units to be much closer to the markets. They allowed small series production and less dependence of large factories in places with cheap labor. COVID-19 has proven that this is the correct trajectory. We need localization of industries closer to markets and less dependence of long value chains that can be easily disrupted. The third trend is the acceleration of the digital markets. While confined, we have all consumed more through the internet than ever. We have bought more in Amazon, we have increased home delivery of food, we have increased the consumption of entertainment through the internet. This will only accelerate and poses challenges and opportunities for societies so digitalized like the one in Kuwait, which ranks among the top in the world in internet penetration. The fourth and last trend I want to discuss today is the tension between large companies and SMEs. The all through internet tends to favor large companies with the cash and means to create digital platforms, while creates a barrier for SMEs in all sectors to compete. This tension is real and very dangerous because produces the commoditization of the employment and the destruction of many SMEs in all sectors. This is and should be one of the biggest concerns of governments across the world. The protection of SMEs which are the backbone of any economy and the source of job creation, in the COVID-19 era, will be a key topic. Governments clearly have a role to play to revert this trend and protect this asset class, the SME, in their economy, making it more resilient and inclusive than an economy dominated by few mega monopolies. So what are the opportunities for Kuwait based on these 4 trends? I would like to highlight 5 topics that I think Kuwait can do to respond to these 4 trends and will create huge amount of opportunities. The first one is to transform the food sector in the country. The food security agenda needs to be reinforced and strengthened. The same technologies that are applied for the 4th industrial revolution can be adopted in the food production industry. So Kuwait needs to strengthen its local value chain from local farmers, but as well needs to create large industrial production units using the latest technology available for food production. This is a value chain that Kuwait needs to strengthen and transform, and one that has the possibility to create jobs and technology that boosts the future of the country. The second is energy transition. Oil is gold today, but now we know for a fact that can be a liability. Using it wisely means that it needs to be used for value-added initiative. Kuwait is using more than 10% of its production for internal consumption. This internal consumption is basically in electricity production. This is a waste of resources that Kuwait should not afford, and therefore Kuwait needs a decided energy transition agenda where sustainable energy sources replace oil as a way to produce electricity. Maximizing the revenue generation role of oil is critical for Kuwait to succeed in achieving Kuwait Vision 2035. The third is support to SMEs. SMEs need to be supported. Kuwait needs to take a decided action to help entrepreneurs and SMEs to succeed in the digital era, providing them access to e-trade platforms in many cases, but especially connecting them into local supply chains. Kuwait has the potential to help SMEs to succeed in the coming decade with little need for subsidies, but with decided action in policymaking around certain industries: food, energy, tourism and entertainment, and digital content, among other sectors that have a relevant market in Kuwait and could support and be supported with strong SME programs. The fourth is the regional role of Kuwait. COVID-19 has shown the value of proximity. Kuwait's geographical place allows the country to tap into close markets that present huge opportunities. The Belt and Road Initiative led by China, with a connection to Kuwait, provides Kuwait with the opportunity to play a new role in the region. Embracing this opportunity and building the infrastructure to attract regional and international investment is a unique opportunity for Kuwait. Silk City, as the flagship program, could serve as a large regional market that could connect Kuwait with south of Iraq, eastern area of Saudi Arabia, and give access to Iran when its economy opens. Finally, I would like to highlight a fifth component of the COVID opportunities that has brought to Kuwait, but as well to many other countries, the opportunity to show to the citizens the value of government. Many times, governments are criticized for not delivering, and private sector is put forth as an example for delivery partner. But when COVID-19 has impacted our societies, we all have turned to the governments and expected them to deliver, and the governments have. With some hiccups, but governments have delivered the response across the world, showing that when needed, they can mobilize resources and capabilities beyond any other organization. So now it is time to put this capability to create the enabling conditions for the future of the growth of Kuwait. And in my opinion, this requires 3 areas of focus. First is health. Kuwait needs a strong health prevention strategy to reduce obesity and diabetes, to make its citizens to live in a healthier society. So when the next pandemic crisis comes, the people of Kuwait are in better health conditions, and the underlying topics around obesity and diabetes are less prevalent in the society. The second one is education. Kuwait needs to reform its education to meet the demands of the future, which are around the concept I explained above: digital, global, and sustainable. And third, infrastructure. The government can mobilize the resources to build the infrastructure for the energy transition and the regional market role we have discussed. This is a huge reform and a strong investment, which will lay the foundations for Vision 2035 realization. In any of these three roles, the government does not need to act alone. The government needs to create the policies and the frameworks for private sector to invest in PPPs for both physical and social infrastructure. Building these PPPs requires strong policy, decided action, and the attraction of investment, all in the hands of Kuwait, that has demonstrated to be a resilient country during this unprecedented time. Thank you very much.